Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another Xur inventory update. Now I'm not gonna lie, I missed out on last week because I forgot that I was doing these again. But I digress. From there, I just wanted to mention really quick, I will be developing an actual Discord of my own. It will be one of those typical ones for us Destiny YouTubers where it is a place the community can get together, ask questions, ask for help, rate builds, ask for guides, or at least ideas, maybe even play with me, hang out on stream, do activities, raid carries, you know, the things that most people that don't play nothing but Crucible do when it comes to Destiny. But I digress. Again, from that point, Xur, he actually has some interesting stuff this time around. The first two things are his catalysts, as always, and the first is the Sunshot catalyst. Well, initially, this isn't one that's exactly great. It is a big stat buff, which Sunshot is in a really good place, and in Crucible terms, it makes it feel really good. I do notice, I think it's hard to tell, personally, just because it's recoil. You don't really notice it before and after, especially since this is a 6-year-old catalyst. But I'm running on. Basically, it's just a stat buff in the range and stability, but I imagine it would be a little bit better if they gave incandescent, the catalyst itself had incandescent, maybe even heal clip or something like that. It would definitely be OP at that point, though. But then moving on, Traveler's Chosen, when it actually gains 2 perks for Traveler's Chosen, both Osmosis and Surplus, which is pretty good considering Osmosis is elemental, so it can apply to any sort of 3.0 or prismatic build, and Surplus just giving you better stat buffs for every stack of things health. Personally, I haven't gotten it done, but that's just because literally, since getting Traveler's Chosen, I haven't really used it in the slightest. From there, we do have Gemini Jesters, a bane of all Crucible folks, which is basically dodging, disorienting nearby enemies, and removing radar. Anytime a hunter would round a corner more than enough times, if they were wearing this, they would immediately dodge, and suddenly they're impossible to find, but 9 times out of 10, they just jumped up in the air, and because you got disoriented, you didn't know. It is really a Crucible-based thing. I have seen some people make use of it in PvE, but definitely more for the Trials crowd. Speaking of Trials, we have Dune Marchers, which, again, is a little bit more PvP-focused. It does have, you know, a stake in PvE a little bit, but basically you get increased sprint speed, get a static charge after a melee attack, and that charge will chain lightning to nearby enemies. It's a way of softening up things nearby in case you're going for a just all-out punch build. You know, mostly knockout. From there, we also have Astrocyte Verse, which makes it so that you can blink further on Warlocks and more frequently, and causing nearby enemies to become volatile on the blink. Your weapons, of course, ready quicker out of blink, and your radar stays active. While Nova Warp is active, the blink that is active during Nova Warp does not cost any extra energy and provides a moderate benefit to airborne effectiveness of all weapons while wearing and airborne. There is a large list of perks because initially it was just a buff to blink, but then it got lots of benefits that would allow it to be a little bit more viable than just being a traversal tool, if anyone uses blink for jump puzzles. From there, a unique thing, there is actually the Nightfall Cipher Adepts. If you don't know what these are something you earn from Grandmaster Nightfalls after you complete them, and these build up until you get 10 of them, and from that point you can actually claim the weekly Adept Nightfall weapon, 1 free per 10 coins. Well, you do need an engram if I recall, but it is a way to get an extra drop on an adept weapon, and if you've got it once before, you can wait until the full rotation goes through and pick up that weapon again, just as long as you have the tokens to pay for them. Moving on, though, in the exotics tabs, we also have the recurring one. Hawk Moon is a moving target buff with a bunch of perks that it kind of contradicts each other because moving target is good mobility, extended barrel is a little less handling, so a little less mobility, but then stability and handling, and from there it is a still pretty solid option for PvP. Speaking of PvP, we also have Arbalist, which is the anti-barrier, not so much king anymore, but it is still a very solid option if you just need a kinetic special to be anti-barrier or to fill in, although, again, this does seem to have more of a home in the Crucible crowd, considering that these can still one-shot to the face. Then the king of ad clear for quite some time, Trinity Ghoul. I would recommend, though, Trinity Ghoul with the Catalyst, because at base form, it allows you to, just have 3 arrows at a time, but Precision Kill is granting a Chain Lightning that is far more potent than Dune Marchers. It is pretty much the equivalent of jolting on a bow, which can be repeated infinitely if you keep killing, and the Catalyst makes it so it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be precision blow. It can be any sort of arc final blow, which also includes your abilities. So it is really good at priming it just to keep it consistent. It's really easy to use. Not to mention it also benefits its draw time on top of that. From there is Prospector, which is a weapon that is in a really odd state because it is a decent enough weapon. You can mag dump it. It is decent enough damage. It is a real easy just ammo clear burst damage option. It sets things on fire, but it's also arc, so it's not really scorched. And the catalyst does give it more ammo. It's a solid option, but at the same time, it's also not worth taking at the same time. Really hoping that there can be a buff to Prospector that isn't just another stat buff or a slight damage buff, like a new perk, maybe Full Court, honestly, now that I'm thinking of it. But from there is, of course, a usual variety of armor. The Jensen Knight Grips available. This is the old IO armor set for all of your characters. And just running through the weapons available in the Legendary, there's Nature of the Beast, Arcane Cannon, Precision Frame, Annual Skate, Suros, Solar Adaptive Frame Hand Cannon, Arsenic Bite, Lightweight Frame, Viced Arc Bow, Far Future Adaptive Frame Solar Sniper Rifle, Honor's Edge, a Arc Adaptive Frame Sword, Memory Interdict, a Void Adaptive Frame Grenade Launcher, as well as the Quick Fang, which will translate to all 3 class swords for each respective character. If any of those sound interesting to you, be sure to visit the store and pick it up while you can. And his usual material offers: Ascendant Alloy, 3 enhancement cores for 3 coins, 5 enhancement cores for 5 coins, then a 22k Glimmer setup for 5 coins, and 29k Glimmer setup for 7 coins. That is pretty much all of Xur's stock. Keep in mind that this will also rotate in and out every week, and at the same time, this will not likely be the same. There has been Artifice Armor there has just been straight up engrams, and now there's Nightfall Cipher tokens. So think of them as the not so regularly available stuff that you might find, but also maybe not always find, if that logic makes sense. With that, again, I hope when I eventually get to making it, that you all take a visit to a Discord of my own making. Like I said, it will be a more just community Discord. It won't be any... While there will be memes and there will be room for offensive humor, there won't be, you know, let's just say, one of those servers that the government looked at for charges to commit treason. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I thank you for watching.